Hello, this is Matthew Robert Payne, and this is a book called um, 71 Powerful Writing Habits You Can Learn from Self-Publishing 91 Books. I know it's a good big title. The chapter that I'm going to cover here is called Develop a Good Relationship with Your Editor by sticking with them over many books. We know that when doing business with people, there's a number of things that are important. It's important that both sides of the party are happy. So you make money in business by making customers happy and meeting their needs, and they make you happy by becoming a repeat customer, and they become a repeat customer because they may need your product often, and they decide to become a repeat customer because you're delivering them a good quality product and at a good price, and it's fulfilling their needs. But many times they come back and back for more because of the relationship you establish. When you start to seriously consider publishing quite a number of books, it's important for you to build relationships with your contractors, with your teams, and you do that largely by the way you communicate and consistency of ordering the same product. So it's important if you're going to use an editor, whether they be an inexpensive editor on Fiverr or a premium brand editor, of which I'll recommend her services in the end of the book. Whether it's a high-priced editor or someone who can do the same job but maybe not as good, it's important that you're consistent with your orders. You're very clear in what you want and what you expect, and you communicate in a loving way and a respectful way. You can develop that relationship and have your editor start to take personal ownership of your books and put a little bit of their heart into it instead of it just being a book and another job for them. You can establish that place in your editor's heart by your good manners, by the way you communicate, the way you encourage them and give them feedback, and you consistently giving them work and earning them money. A business can take a lot of money to advertise and attract new customers, and there's nothing more important to a business than the customers that are repeat customers and loyal customers. I was with my expensive editor when my income was at $2,000 Australian a month, and that only stopped over the last year. And I sadly had to break fellowship with that editor because I couldn't afford her services if I still wanted to put a book out per month. So I think I did at least 60 books with her, and she became a very good friend of mine. And I often write the titles of my books and I don't know which words are meant to be capitalized in the title, and that's very important for a title. So I often send the title to that old editor to ask her to retype the title with the correct capital letters in it, and she does that for free for me, and she makes comments about what that book promises, and she's happy to do that. You can only do that when you've been a loyal customer and you've developed a friendship. It's good business to work with friends, and you should endeavor to not just be someone who gets their books edited by your editor, but to become a personal friend of the editor. You'll make it easier for your editor to love you if you're very honest and transparent with them, and particularly if you're honest and transparent in the stories you tell as you illustrate your book. Your editor is like an arm. It's losing an editor is like losing a limb, and losing my editor due to financial pressure was very hard for me, and I missed the interaction. And so it's vital that you don't go from editor to editor and shop around on price, trying to get a cheaper and cheaper price, and trying to pressure people to give you a cheap price. So it's important that you don't jump around from editor to editor, and you try and be consistent with using the same editor for your books. This new editor that I have that's inexpensive for me, I did a couple of quotes in my last book. I quoted other people out of their books and referenced them where I found the quote in their book. And I've done that hundreds of times in books. When someone says something better than I can say it, I'll quote someone. But this time when I quoted two people, he did special brackets and colored the text. So when you saw it in the Microsoft Word document, it really stood out, and you knew that you're reading someone else's work. So this new editor does design and does internal design of the document, and I've always wanted to ask him today if he could do a feature of getting the poignant parts of my book, the parts that really spoke to him, and doing a highlight on those quotes. And then you're reading, you see the highlight in the text highlighted, and then you read the actual statement in the text of the books. And I don't know if you've ever come across a book that was structured that way, but I've always thought they're the most professional books, and you go from page to page looking for the next quote, and you read the quote, and then you wait for when you're going to read that quote in context in the text. So those are sort of extra benefits you get out of an editor, and that extra work that it's going to take for this editor to do that for me comes out of relationship. And because he's from a poor country, Pakistan, he considers getting 3 orders from me to edit the book in 2 weeks. He called me a very precious client to him, and that's what you want. You want relationship. The more they love you, the more they'll invest in you. I hope you learned something from this.